The Liquor Lab podcast is a Liquor Lab production. This episode of the podcast, one-on-one with entrepreneur and restaurateur James LaCourte, is brought to you by his restaurant, Leilu. Leilu is located at 10 New Street in Huntington, New York. You could call them 631-944-3111. Google, Bing, Leilu. You'll find all the information you need. Go to Instagram, Leilu Huntington. Follow them on Instagram. Leilu is now open for brunch on Sundays, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sundays. Now open for brunch. I personally love it. I wouldn't have anybody on here to talk about something that they built that I didn't personally love. That is for sure. LeiluHuntington.com, Leilu Huntington on Instagram. Now open for brunch. Thank you, James, for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it here at the Liquor Lab. LeiluHuntington.com. Again, 631-944-3111. Now open for brunch, 11 to 3 p.m. Welcome to episode 10 of the Liquor Lab podcast. Today, I have a special guest, restaurateur, James LaCourte of Leilu in Huntington Village. James, how are you, my man?
I'm doing well. Hello.
Well, you know, I like to start off all these one-on-one, these entrepreneur one-on-ones with you introducing yourself. So why don't you go ahead and we'll start from there.
My name is James LaCourte. Like Ryan said, I own a restaurant here in Huntington Village with my wife, Meghan. We have two beautiful young girls. And that's it about me.
All right. So just for some background, James and I was doing the math. I believe we've known each other for 22 or 23 years. So when I met him, he was a baby. Literally, he was probably in middle school or just getting into high school. It got to be that. I mean, it's crazy how long it's been. So just to start off, so tell me about the first moment as an entrepreneur. And I know you've been in the business a long time. So let's get a little background on the first moment that you said to yourself, you know, this is what I want to do. So let's go way back to, I guess, your first job in the industry, and just give us a little background on your aha moment when you were like, this is what I want to do.
First, I'd say started in the industry, really more in the deli industry, started in high school, early high school, working through it just as a job, just to get through, you know. So started in high school, you know, getting through high school, going down my path. Finished high school, left the business, moved to California, which was amazing. Ended up moving back for family. And
what year was this? What year did you move to California?
That was 01, right between 2000 2001, right in that area.
Yeah.
Left there, worked out there a couple of different jobs, you know, do what kids do, have a good time. And then came back, got back into the deli industry actually. It wasn't just a deli, I shouldn't just say a deli, like a normal, regular deli. Gourmet deli, doing very large numbers, you know, huge lunches. We had a staff of I managed the deli at this time. We had a staff of probably 30 people. You know, ran a full-time kitchen staff in the morning. Then we had to happen to have a restaurant at the same time on the other side. Once that started rolling, I just still thought it was still just a job, just kind of get me through. And then I got a call I had taken a test to work for the MTA. I got a call to work for the MTA, Bridges and Tunnels. I was an officer there for 2 plus years. And this is in 05, 06. So left the job, worked there, loved the law enforcement part of it, did not like the other end of it. So left that job, came back into the deli business, and at that moment, about 07, we ended up closing the deli. I transitioned into the restaurant in 07, scared to death because I had never really worked in a restaurant. got into the restaurant, started rolling, started bartending, just by chance. Got into a bartending position, which is usually like the hardest position to get into. And from there, just started rolling. I started to love the business. Really, really love the business. Love every aspect of it, from the back of the house to the front of the house. And I'd say probably somewhere in 2010, 11 was really start thinking, this is something I might want to kind of step into, become my life. Went to French Culinary Institute, mostly for wine program, which is an amazing school. And I'm jumping around a little bit, but I then met my wife, of course, who wasn't my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and that's in 2010. And it became a dream of both of ours, I think. A little more of mine, but she was definitely really, really into the wine aspect of the restaurant. I should say we also met in the restaurant, Jonina Restaurant, which I love. I would be nowhere without that place. And
been there many times. It's a great place. Great place to see you specifically. So
I appreciate that. And then so moved on from there. Went, and then I'd say in 2017, 18, we probably decided, this is what we have to do. I could get no further at Jonina. I was a manager there, bartender, and I was going no higher. I was doing really well, and said, it's time to branch out on our own. We should probably start looking for a place and looking for some funding and looking for all the good stuff that comes along with it. And then, then came Leilu. Here we are, a year and a half later.
So how long did it take when you guys were like, this is what we're doing? How long was that process? Like, when did you conceptualize, not necessarily the name, because I don't think you had any kids at this point, but when did you conceptualize, like, this is what we want, this is the idea, all roads lead to this endpoint or this goal? At what point in this process? And yes, I even remember myself that you were all over, and then you really landed and set your feet at Jonina, and I believe Meghan was working in the wine store next door, correct?
She worked a little bit in the wine store. She was actually working at the time as an editor producer for Fox News online.
Got it. Oh yes, I remember. Yes,
she was doing a wine program with Tracy Burns on Fox Business, which was a lot of fun for her, and that was really starting to expand her mind a little bit more into the wine aspect. We also took wine classes too, American Somm Association together, which was a wild ride too. But yeah, so I'd say it took us probably 2 to 2.5 years when we were like, this is what we're going to do. Let's start finding a place, finding a way to get this done. How are we going to do it? Start building a business plan, going through that, and then trying to find the right location because, we're born and raised in Huntington. We love Huntington, but we're you're also eager to find a place, sign a place. So our first place that we had found was actually in Northport, just one town over. I believe that's where you were born and raised.
Yep, very close to there. What store's there now? What restaurant's there now? In the first location.
Now it's Vespa. Vespa Chop?
Yes.
House? Yeah. Italian.
Yeah.
I hear it's very good. I haven't been there yet. Kind of believe things happen for a reason. We didn't take that place. It was we couldn't. The best thing about that place, the reason we really wanted it was a building vibe. We would own the building. It was huge for us. So
wow.
So we ended up securing the funds for the building, but not the funds to open the actual restaurant in the building. It was a huge undertaking. I mean, we're talking $2.5 million to do everything. And I hear the story. I don't know the truth to it 100%, but they went through a lot of problems too because the building itself, I believe, was 4 or 5 additions over the years. The building was like from 1896, let's say.
Yeah. Those buildings, it's a matter of fact, the story goes with Northport is that the speakeasy underground gambling and liquor was all under the main street of Northport. Like you could actually go in when the tide was low, you could walk into this big drain and walk up through Main Street underneath it. And there's like a trap door in the Chase Bank, because I used to work there, and they used to say, "Oh, this door was from when Prohibition happened. People were drinking downstairs."
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So you didn't get you didn't get there, but I also heard there is it's really a challenge with getting your liquor license. So this really segues into setting up the business. At what point, okay, everyone knows when they want to open up a restaurant who's not in the restaurant business, they need a space. So when did you realize, of course you had experience, but when did it hit you that there was all these other factors that matter? Let's say liquor license, insurance. Like, were you surprised, or were you ready for all these things based on your experience?
Definitely ready for a lot of it because I knew a lot of the back end through Jonina's, but there was some definite surprises, 100%. I'd say when we signed the lease, even I'd say 3 to 4 months before you sign the lease, you start to figure out, all right, we're getting all our insurances. Gosh, it's going to be this much. It's going to be this much.
Yep.
The liquor license, which was probably, I'd say the most problematic to get, but the longest process. All because the building that we're in now was recently CO'd upstairs, and there was a problem with it between the town and the state and whatever it might be. So they weren't accepting that as a CO'd space. But
when you say CO'd space, customer, what is that?
No, they just had allowed it to become a space for it was offices upstairs. Now they've allowed it to be a restaurant.
So it's like a zoning thing.
It's a zoning thing. But,
yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and that's it. And so I'd say, about 3 to 4 months before we really opened or I should say before we signed the lease, is when you're starting to really understand. I mean, you build your business, your plan, but you start to really unravel, I guess, the layers of the onion of what it's going to take to put in to the restaurant, especially financially. Time, of course, we knew it was going to take a lot of time, but yeah, there was some definitely. You don't think it's going to cost that much in insurance, just to put the lights on. What's it going to cost to run the gas, the electricity, everything before you even put a penny into food or anything of that nature.
Yeah. You had mentioned how long were you at Jonina?
21 years.
Damn. 21 years at a restaurant.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So here is a question for you. When you approached your current employer, and I want everyone to really, really listen to this, because when you go to the owners, and I know personally that you were very close with them, very close. To the fact that when you said that, like, oh, Ryan's like my guest, the owner would come up to me and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You were there for such a long time. So describe for me, or describe for the audience, that moment when you said, "Hey, I mean, you could go into this, but that moment you said, "Hey, I'm really working to open my own place." And was there any tension about customers? Because I know the customers loved you. Everyone should know that James is a very likable guy. I've seen him mad, but I don't think anyone else has seen him mad. He's not someone that is known to be angry about anything. So just describe that moment when you presented yourself saying, "Hey, this is my dream." And then the whole idea that you're actually doing it. And then the third part of that would be customers actually not going to Jonina and going to your spot. So just describe that dynamic.
It's funny. So I'd say, for a long time we had, Bobby, the owner of the restaurant, like I said, has been like a mentor to me over all these years too. Really let me into a lot of like the back end aspects of what an owner was before even, opening the place. So we're still very tight to this day. I think because it took such a long time, those 2 years, I think that it was a little bit more easy for him to kind of, realize that I was about to go on to another establishment and open our own place. And don't get me wrong, it was definitely emotional though. I think it was very emotional. because I was there so long. I mean, I helped to run the place, build it up to become what it is today, which is it's a super successful restaurant. And yes, we had a huge customer base. Um, I like to think I was a part of bringing that customer base in there. The food is phenomenal too, so it's got to be a lot. It's a combination of a lot of different things. So was he ever really shocked, or was there any tension? I don't believe there was any real tension. Uh, does he miss me? Do I miss him? Of course. I mean, that's going to be anybody who's close, and then they're going to leave each other for a while. But I don't think he has any animosity. I think they were really, him and his wife especially, were really behind us opening this place. They helped us out immensely, really guided us in the right direction. Bobby himself came and helped me physically to do things here whenever he had time off. So all those guys a lot. I don't think there was ever really any point where he was just upset with it. With the customers, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I get a lot of those customers here. Yes, I had a strong customer base there. They still go there and they come here. So I like to think they break their time up. I hope
it would have been different if you. It would have been different if you opened an Italian restaurant.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons we didn't open an Italian restaurant either. We want to be a little different. I can't open an Italian restaurant to Bobby in the same exact town. Only 2 blocks
up. So okay, so you start. You get in there. At what moment? I know you signed the lease, but at what moment did you at what moment did you say to yourself, wow, this is real, I'm doing this, this is happening? At what moment? I know it took 2 years to do it, but when you resigned, when you said, hey, I'm doing this, or your first day in Leilu, when was that moment, I own a business?
I'll tell you, it's still surreal to this day, to be honest with you. But I'd say there's probably 2 moments. Winter, 2 years ago, when after the lease, we signed the lease. Sign the lease, it's a piece of paper. Yeah, it's real, but it's not really real. We're in here with the key, but it still looks like the old place, so you're kind of not even feeling like it's yours. But here we are ripping up the floor. We did a lot of work ourselves, too. And ripping up the floor, sitting with Meghan in here, taking down mirrors that are on the walls and things like that. And I think there was a point where we really just kind of sat down together and we're like, holy crap, we're in this. We just signed the lease. We're here. We're sitting. We're in the middle of our own place. I think that was step one. Still very unreal though at the time, because I'm working at Jonina's. I'm doing work here in the morning. I'm going there in the evening. And so I'm still working there. So I'm still feeling like I'm really just working there and doing almost like another job during the day. I think it was 2 weeks in really to opening the doors here when we're just sitting here after. And I'm like, I'm not going back to Jonina's. I'm here in my own place. I'm behind my own bar. Things are still so new to us. And at the time, it's brand new place. We're packed. It's crazy. So there's no time to even process things. But I think it really was Meg and I just one day after work, we're just sitting back and we're like, holy crap, this is us. This is us. And now we're deep in it. There's no going back.
So you talked about raising funding. How did you, and this is for entrepreneurs out there who are looking to start any type of business, how did you raise funds? I mean, you don't have to get into details Ryan gave me, $5. He donated, how did you go about getting people to buy in? I advised you, I said, my first advice was you don't give anyone points. They want to invest and get some sort of return. You own 100% of the business. That was my one piece of advice to you, because you just don't want anyone influencing your idea or having influence on your idea that 21 years in the restaurant business behind a bar, and then 2 years building this business into a reality. You don't want anyone telling you what to do. That was my advice for you. So if you could go into how did you raise capital or funding for this venture?
I'll tell you, everything that we raised. Well, first off, I took your advice 100%. Because, with a small place like this, maybe we'll be a little investor driven later on if we open another place, when we open another place, I should say, after the craziness of COVID. But we ended up going to people that I had met over the years, I would call friends, and really just, asking, probably one of the hardest parts, if not the hardest part of opening the restaurant. Please help me out. Lend us this money. And now we're not asking for free. We're giving a percentage on it.
Sure.
And just, lend us this money for, give us 5 years to pay you back. And that's pretty much how we kind of structured most of the deals, anywhere from 3 to 5. And I'm talking about, 10,000 from somebody and 50,000 from somebody else, and people who really just believed in us and believed in our goal, our vision. And I think that the only advice I could really, really give is to know what you're doing. I mean, you need to give a clear, how are we going to be able to pay you back? How are we able to create and start, a busy restaurant it's not going to go under in a year or two, especially in a restaurant business, because obviously everybody thinks the restaurant business is so hard, and all these, 90% of restaurants fail within the first year, which is a fallacy. It's not true. But within 5 years, yes, maybe there's something in the area of 55 to 60%, something of that nature. But I think it's really just knowing your stuff, knowing your business. If you know your business, people will believe in you as well. And we happen to know the town very well, so it was a little bit easier for us to know this is going to work here. This is going to happen. Been in the business a long time. Know how to make food, how to sell it, drinks, make people happy when they walk in.
I think just to speak from my perspective is you've been at Jonina so long that knowing the business of running a restaurant, you were able to provide people with real timetables and real numbers, other than like, hey, I have this great idea. I'm going to open a restaurant in Huntington. I'm going to run it. I know I'm going to sell a pizza, but that, like you were able to put together something that is a business plan because of your experience, and getting that experience was really like setting you up for success, and then enabling you to, take investors on with reasonable real life returns. Everybody wants to make money, but to really put something forward and have people believe in you is really awesome. Okay. So I know how you got the name for the restaurant, but why don't you tell everyone?
So at first, when we were looking at the first space, the name of the restaurant was going to be Layla's, and that is because that is our oldest daughter. So we said, Layla, it's going to be awesome. We'll do it after. And, we went back and forth. We said, you know what, I think it would be great. It sounds like a great name. Layla's this. And then we had Lucy. So we're like, be a little messed up. Yeah, we just named it after Layla. So we ended up coming up with the name Leilu. And really, Meghan, I should got to give her all the credit for that. So yeah, we came up with the name Leilu after my two daughters, and I don't know if we're gonna have a third. So this is their namesake, pretty much.
You might have to change the sign. I'm just kidding.
Hey, maybe we open the next place.
Exactly. So these are some entrepreneurial questions I ask everyone. I mean, this is only my second one-on-one, but these questions will come to everybody who does the podcast for the one-on-one. So how many hours a day do you work on average? I know you're closed on Mondays, but that really doesn't mean anything in this business. So how many hours a day are you putting towards Leilu?
Minimum 12, I'd say. With real working hours, paperwork, minimum. It's just really an everyday, especially being a new place too. And I don't want to go into COVID yet, but having to figure out, you're always thinking, in the morning, Meg and I, luckily I have my wife in this with me together. So we're just rolling ideas off each other all the time, all the time, all the time. Of course, breaks for the kids, doing what we have to do. But I don't think there's a minute that we're not thinking about the restaurant ever. So I would say, yeah, I mean, we're at the moment, we're only open from 4 until 9, really, because because of the new laws, everybody has to be out of the restaurant at 10. So, 4 to 10, 6 hours. We're open 6 hours. We're thinking about expanding those hours, but we have to make sure that it works. But yeah, I'd say minimum 12 a day.
So just getting to something else is menu and drink menu. How did you guys have an idea what dishes you wanted to serve or what type of food? What were your ideas about, a menu structure? I'm sure because you had the experience, it was easier for you than someone who's just like, hey, I just came into money, I want to start a restaurant. You guys, did you conceptualize what would be on the menu and what would be like your drink menu? I know you guys have some great cocktails there, I mean, I've been there too. I mean, of course, now I live in New Jersey, but every time I'm out there, I try to get there or stop by, and I know the menu is, pretty great. So how did the menu planning, was it something before you signed the lease, or did you have a feeling, or you just were looking for the right chef to pretty much vibe with you guys?
A little bit of everything, actually, because I'll tell you, we had an idea of what we really wanted. We knew we wanted to be a seasonal place. We knew we weren't going to be Italian. So we said, we'll do a little American fare, because American fare really means you can do anything, because we're all American. So right now we're running a Taco Tuesday. I mean, it's American. So I say we had an idea of what we wanted to do in the beginning with the menu, but we really wanted to bounce it off an experienced chef. And that was going to be kind of where we were going. It took a very long time to find a chef, and restaurant business is hard. We've been through 3 chefs already, or 2, and
Wow.
we brought our third. Our third is the best we've had. It's a crazy story and long story, but he's amazing, and he's actually where we really want to be. We brought in another chef that was from Block Island. He wasn't really our style, kind of was going a little too high end for us, and that's not what our vision was. But yeah, I think the drink menu, I love experimenting with drinks. So we have 4 drinks. We're also seasonal, so we change our menu 4 times a year. So it's great because we get to play around with the menu all the time. We're actually have the winter menu coming in on Friday. We're going to launch it on Friday.
Nice.
Glutton for punishment. Why not launch it on Friday? Great. But yeah, I think that's really what it was. We had an idea, but we want to bounce it off somebody. And you know what? It's all learning experience. He wasn't the chef for us.
Sure.
But he definitely, sent us in the right direction with certain things, and then the next chef the same, and this guy is really where we want to be.
So, what motivates you today? What keeps you motivated?
My children and my wife always motivate me 100%, by far. I think family is super, super, super important. Comes before all. In the restaurant business, what motivates me is like we were just saying, the menu changes. There's fun aspects of it. You're always, being able to, change the menu, change this, have customers come in, enjoy what that obviously is what pushes you in this industry. You want to make sure they're coming in, they're enjoying everything, and coming back. We've had a guy that's come and he's had the pork chop 3 times this week. That right there makes me feel amazing. Yeah, and he doesn't even like pork chop. He tells me, and he's like, "We've had the pork chop 3 times." So, motivation great. I think is for us is within our clientele, our customers coming in, keep coming back. We really want to have a return customer base. And it is. I mean, there's a lot of motivation in this business too, because you want to make sure everybody's happy, everybody's doing well, everybody's making money. I mean, that's another motivator, of course, is money. You want to make sure money's coming in, and it's the toughest times right now, but knock on wood, we're making it. So,
do you realize that you're an entrepreneur, and what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur? And I want to say, like, people associate entrepreneur with like big tech or some invention. When entrepreneurs are really people who start businesses and have vision, and it could be something that's brick and mortar. It could be, I came up with the idea for this or that, and it's tech. But do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? And you are an entrepreneur, whether you like it or not. And what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?
So I guess not until this moment would I ever consider myself an entrepreneur. But you're right. I mean, we are entrepreneur.
Both of you, yes.
Yeah, best part of it, it's yours. It's yours at the end of the day. As much as you put into it is as much as you get out. So you keep putting your heart into it. I think that's probably the best part of it. Worst part is sometimes it's scary as all hell, But I think the best part is you put a lot in, you get a lot out. It's huge.
Okay, so here's some rapid fire ones before we get into the COVID questions, which I'm sure everybody wants to hear about because, that's what's going on. But first one, biggest mistake you learned from?
Hiring our first chef on the fly.
Just like he came in and you were like, you're hired.
Hired, thought he was the right guy, let him rule for a month. And that was, we had so much going on at the time that really, really, I think it hurt us in the beginning. That would be my biggest mistake.
What's your first big payday? Biggest day, moment when you were like, damn, we really made money today. It could be the first time you got that check from wherever. What was your first big payday associated with the business?
I would say, actually, to tell you the truth, it was a Saturday during COVID. And it was our biggest day that we've ever had, even pre-COVID. But you know what?
Is this summer?
Summertime.
Okay.
We had the outside going. We have live music. And it was our biggest day, happiest day, too, because we're like, during COVID, wow, we're doing okay. So,
what has been the most satisfying moment in business in Leilu?
Satisfying moments. It's a tough one. Rapid fire. I'm not firing rapidly on this one.
Okay.
I guess just
it could be just the moment when every day closes. It could be. It doesn't have to be a single moment.
Even just opening the doors is satisfying. Being able to open
the
door
of course.
Right now, having people come in the door, that's satisfying. Having somebody walk in the door that's a repeat customer, that really,
Yeah, that has to be satisfying. The guy doesn't like a pork chop. He's ordering it 3 times. Come on. He should be your official taste tester. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the topic everybody wants to hear about because it's just on everyone's mind, especially in New York, more so in New York City and New Jersey, but it's in all of New York with these shutdowns and COVID. So these are just I'd put some questions together. So when did you realize that everything you knew before has changed?
I'd say 3 weeks into COVID. When everybody first got the whole thing, and this is a big virus coming out. I cannot lie. I said, 2 weeks. It's gonna blow over. 2 weeks is gonna blow over. I'll tell you. I say probably the first day of shutdown was the day I was like, wow, this is bad, and we're not going back to the way we were for a long time. So, especially
you guys as a new restaurant. Me and my girlfriend always talked about you. We're like, man, they just opened, and we always had you, front of mind whenever we heard or read on Instagram about shutdowns. We were always like James and Meghan.
7 months.
What are the challenges today? Like, what are your challenges right now, aside from the basics, like limited capacity? Is it getting people out? Is it, and this will go right into, delivery pickup. What are your feelings on delivery apps? I know on your website, which I'm going to give all the information on the restaurant and how to follow and contact in the closing, but what are the challenges, and are you guys delivering, and are there people curbside picking up and things like that?
So a couple different challenges. Definitely, getting people in the restaurant, inside. So summertime, we were doing fantastic. Doors open. People would sit in, a lot of open air. We have an upstairs here. Nobody would sit upstairs, but it was great. We had the whole street area. It was really wonderful. Now getting people in to feel comfortable. We run everything a really tight ship here. Everything's cleaned all the time, disinfected. You know, all twice washed on all the dishes. We actually use plastic cups right now for the water and whatnot. Just kind of getting people comfortable to come in. And there are people, I shouldn't say there, but there are. But it's just kind of getting those people to understand. That's a huge challenge. Staffing's. We happen to have a phenomenal staff here. So going into the delivery, we don't do delivery at the moment. We do it through DoorDash. Um,
So delivery service.
Delivery app, yeah, 100%. We used to do deliveries through ourselves. We had a delivery driver, which was okay. It's a little bit harder. Not to get into DoorDash, but even though it has a lot of pros, it has a lot of cons. The pros outweigh the cons, I think, because you can put out 10 deliveries at the same time.
Yep.
You have people coming to pick them up, and that's a great business model. But that's definitely a challenge. Just staffing, because we want to open for lunch, like we were saying, and we want we're doing brunches on the weekends now. Finding that is it worth it? Is it not? It's all trial and error right now, really. But that's a big challenge to find the staff that wants to work, the right staff, and the people that have the hours that they can do it, especially during the day, because we happen to have a lot of teachers that work here too.
Got it. Did you ever completely shut down? And if you did, for how long, and when did you reopen?
We never completely shut down. We always, we saw that the shutdown was happening, and there were some places around here that shut down completely for a while. Wasn't in our cards. Never even thought about shutting down. We ran a skeleton crew. We literally was just myself, one other server that was with us the whole time, and the chef, and that was it. And we were just rocking and rolling. I mean, we were in the kitchen. We were out here. We were in the kitchen. It was a crazy time. But so never shut down.
What I see, and I'm a business operations person, so there's got to be, although terrible about restrictions and shutdowns, there has to be some business and operations positives from the restrictions, because no one has ever been faced with such a tight, limited, I guess, elbow room, figuratively speaking. So what are some of the positives with business operations and operation costs from the restrictions?
I think actually the positives that really come out of it are kind of crunching the numbers a little bit more. First, you're crunching for to-goes, because we weren't before this, we were not a to-go place. Having that opportunity, if you want to call it an opportunity, to do solely takeout, you're learning so much more about takeout. What's the right costing of what we should be getting to do this takeout, how to do it, times to do it. I also think the pros are, we wouldn't have DoorDash if we did this, which I think that was definitely a pro of it, because it would have been, we would have just been doing the same old thing over and over and over. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, maybe we think to get DoorDash. But now I think also the kitchen guys are a little bit more, familiar with how to do a lot of to-go's, how to package them correctly, get them out on time. So I think that's the pros to this.
Did you change your menu?
Did we change our menu? We definitely did. We changed, especially during the shutdown. We did a lot more, family meals. We're trying to see how we can create more business.
Like family style.
Family style meals. We would do. We were doing great meals at the time. Half tray was our rice bowl, which we did a thing of chicken, beautiful steak, shrimp, all with rice, mixed vegetables, different sauces. We were doing burger meals. We were doing, all these type of things that probably wouldn't have done before this either, and it turned out to be, pretty popular.
Awesome. Okay, for COVID, something you are glad you did early.
Those family meals and staying open. I think those are big things.
Something you did just in time.
Just in time. Those family meals are staying open.
So family meals, and something you didn't do, but looking back, you should have done.
You know what? I think, actually, tell you, COVID-wise, opening for lunch and brunch earlier, I think it would have been a huge hit, definitely during summertime. There was a lot of things that were restricting us from doing that, but I think that was definitely a regret, if there is regrets.
Okay, final question before we wrap up. If you knew, if COVID would have happened at Jonina's, right, and then everything's open up and everything's great, what would you have done different during the planning and development of Leilu if you knew this type of restrictions being implemented were a possibility?
Meaning that before we even did anything, we even
Yeah.
opened up, we're opening up
Before you
during
even had the lease on the place, let's say this had happened 5-6 years prior, and you went through like a similar COVID situation, what would you have done different in the planning and development of the concept and all the operations? What would you have done differently if you knew this type of shutdown was a possibility?
concept would be totally different. It would be a fast service restaurant. We would have 100% been all to go. Maybe with a little bit of dining room space if we had the space to do it. Wouldn't have leased the upstairs as well. But I think we would just really be a totally different restaurant at that moment. Which
Like a grab and go type of place,
or almost like let's say a taco joint that you make and you order. And you know what, we would utilize a lot more of these services like DoorDash, Grubhub. Also, maybe start doing a ghost kitchen or something of that nature. Also,
interesting, yeah.
Because which is still in our mind now too. Even though this craziness has been going on, it's not deterring us because our ultimate 3 to 5 year plan was to open up another place, not this style, but more of maybe a fast service, kind of something that can be replicated. Because this would be our baby, and those would kind of be more of our maybe money makers in a way. Still in the cards.
Well, I want to end with one solemn moment for us. I want to say rest in peace to Chris Ferrier. If he knew we were doing a fucking podcast right now, I think he'd make fun of us, right? First off.
Most likely.
But rest in peace to him. James, thank you so much for the time. You could find Leilu on Instagram at Leilu Huntington. Not going to spell that out. Just spell it how it is on Instagram. LeiluHuntington.com. They're located at 10 New Street, Huntington, New York. You could call them 631-944-3111. That's 631-944-3111. Just Google Leilu. It comes up, especially if you're in the tri-state area. James, thank you so much. Say hi to Megan. I really appreciate the time.
And we appreciate you big time. Thanks for having us on.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks so much.
This is the part of the Liquor Lab podcast where I need your help. Subscribe, rate, and share. Subscribe, rate, and share. Subscribe, rate, and share. Every podcaster says it. We need it, though, especially the Liquor Lab podcast. Subscribe, rate, and share. If you're listening, post it in an Instagram story. Post it in a Facebook story. Take a screen capture of the episode you're listening to. Post it in your feeds. Share it on Twitter, stories, Facebook, WhatsApp. Share it. Subscribe, rate, and share to the Liquor Lab podcast. Thank you for all your support. Everyone who has subscribed, rated, and share, keep it going. Subscribe, rate, and share. Instagram. Follow the Liquor Lab on Instagram. Search Liquor Lab or go to liquorlab.com and click on the Instagram icon on the homepage. Follow us, like our content, mention friends in our posts, share our posts, share our stories. Liquor Lab on Instagram. Again, search Liquor Lab or go to liquorlab.com and click on the Instagram icon. YouTube. Subscribe to the Liquor Lab YouTube channel. On YouTube, search Liquor Lab, click subscribe. You'll get all access to clips, podcasts, all of our content. Again, YouTube, Liquor Lab, or go to liquorlab.com and click the YouTube icon. Now open for business, the Liquor Lab merch store. Visit shop.liquorlab.com, go to the homepage, liquorlab.com. The link is there. Direct to the store, you'll see the Liquor Lab logo t-shirt, 100% organic. You'll see the Liquor Lab logo hoodie, 85% organic. And just added Liquor Lab Instagram privacy settings tee. Very excited about these products. Visit liquorlab.com, shop.liquorlab.com, or even tap View Shop in the Liquor Lab Instagram profile at Liquor Lab. Very excited about these products. Shop.liquorlab.com and support the Liquor Lab.